Retail Media Insights podcast series, where we will take a deep dive into the fast changing retail media ecosystem. Together, we will delve into new technologies, innovative strategies, and essential mental models that will make us smarter about this space. We will hear perspectives from retail ad tech companies, retail media networks, and advertisers. I'm your host, Keshav, and you can follow my perspectives on retail media through my Retail Media Insights newsletter. My guest for this episode is Edik Mitelman, who is the General Manager of Privacy Cloud at AppsFlyer. Edik is an experienced executive with previous leadership roles at Autodesk, Watchit, and Conduit. He also runs the Venture Creation and Product Innovation program as part of the GMBA at Reichman University. We talk in detail about the mobile advertising ecosystem, AppsFlyer's genesis as one of the biggest mobile measurement partner, its entry into the data cleanroom space, and its unique proposition in this space for retail media, the work being done for cleanrooms to become interoperable with each other, and a lot of other exciting topics. So let's get to it. Hi, Edik. Welcome to the podcast, and thanks for joining despite disturbing times for you back home.
Yeah, it's great to be here, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Having seen your background, you've done a variety of product and technical roles across startups, but also mature scale ups. What has been your favorite role so far outside of your current role at AppsFlyer?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I ask myself that a lot, especially every time one needs to change roles or positions. You always think back what was the best thing I loved, and you try to replicate it. I think I'm a builder in my nature. So I started in engineering and then moved to product management and then to business, but still like building stuff and geeking out about stuff is what really drives me. So it wouldn't be surprising probably to say that my most favorite role was when I had a startup. I was the VP product. It's a small startup. Nobody knows about it. It closed 18 months after it started, but it was a crazy ride. I learned a lot about what not to do. I can say I learned a lot about what to do. So it's not like I have a playbook on how to build a successful startup, but I have a great playbook on how to build a failing startup. But jokes aside, I think this was the most exciting stuff. And everywhere I go since then, I'm trying to replicate this, to avoid cliches, to replicate the startup culture, to replicate the startup ways of doing things, building, breaking, 0 to 1. Having worked for huge US corporates, big scale ups, what have you, I'm trying to keep and maintain that driver going.
Can you tell us two things you learned that you shouldn't do while you were at that startup?
Absolutely. I think the most important part is not to succumb to pressure to hire people when they're not the very best. In a startup, obviously, we are constantly restricted by budget, and you always need this next engineer because you need to build stuff very fast. And then you interview people, and you tend to tell yourself, well, this guy is not really the best, but he will do. And I don't have enough money to bring great talent. You tell yourself excuses, and you build not the very best team. The price you pay for bringing not the best people is 10 times bigger than the salary or the ask you would have for your investors. And this is hard. This requires perseverance. This requires saying no to people, although you're burning. You need to build this feature now. But I learned a very painful lesson that, especially in early days, you cannot just lower your bar on people. And the second aspect, which is being talked everywhere, is focus. When you are a small startup, when you have a product that is not mature yet, it's very flexible and it's very easy. And people treat it as a plus, as a benefit. Oh, my product is so customizable that I can do anything you want with it. And that creates a lot of different threads. You're building 5 things in parallel. So do not overkill the fact that your product is still young and a Lego. Focus, 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 decide, make decisions, And even if you're wrong, be smart enough and be humble enough to go back, but you will waste less time than trying to pursue five different directions.
Mm. I think that's something you also learn with experience, right? Like, which is at what point should I actually think of more things to do versus focus and which things to focus on. Now, tell me a bit about your current company. So, you're right now the SVP for the privacy cloud suite of solutions at AppsFlyer. But where is the company from? Who are the founders? And what actually prompted them to start this business? And if you could also tell us how it has grown and how big the business is today.
Sure. So AppsFlyer started in about 2010. So considering startups and scale ups, this is a mature old company. So we are 13 years older. Essentially, the genesis point for founders, for Oren and Reshef, who are still our CEO and our CTO, was the rise in the Apple App Store, and specifically, I mean, the iPhone creation, but the App Store that came with it. And the whole point of mobile advertising was still very nascent and young, and nobody understood what happens. And then Oren and Reshef realized that in this ecosystem, in this new evolving thing, there is nobody representing the advertisers. How can they know that they are spending their money properly? How can they know that they are working with the best partners? How easy is it to work with partners? Because back then, if you wanted to work with a network, you had to install their SDK into your application. SDKs are heavy, SDKs are hard, it's a black box. So if you want to work with 10 different networks, you need 10 different SDKs. That becomes unscalable, and that is very hard on the tech part. But also, measurement was the privilege of the networks. And this was, and still is in some cases, to let the students grade their own homework. Or to use a more common metaphor, to let the cat guard the milk. So Oren and Reshef realized that there has to be a neutral, trusted, unbiased player that is in the middle and really represents the advertisers and works with these partners to show the true single source of truth picture of how mobile advertisement works. So that's how the company started. Of course, today these companies got a name, kind of a category, which is called an MMP, which is the mobile measurement partner or mobile measurement platform. And you need to actually be certified to do that. So this term was actually coined by the networks themselves,
Mm.
right? So Facebook or Meta, they have their own MMP program, and then others have, and this is why they invented kind of this term, and it transferred to become a category. But there is only a few companies in the world who are certified measurement partners for these large ad networks, and of course all the smaller ones are working with them. Not anyone can just come up and say, I am now measuring the entire mobile world. It's not how it works. You need to submit, you need to approval, blah blah blah. It's hard. And for the last decade plus, we've been building this trust, we've been building this ecosystem, we've been building this machine that performs measurement and attribution and adds a lot of value on top of it. I don't know if your listeners necessarily know what is the main problem of mobile attribution, but on the web, it's pretty easy to attribute, quote unquote, because there is cookies and there are, like, you can just add stuff to the URL. And then if a visitor comes to your website, you can just look at the URL with UTM parameters or look at the cookie and you know where they came from. On mobile, the app stores, just the existence of the app stores, be it Apple or Google, created a cut. So somebody who clicks on an advertisement in a mobile environment, let's say on Facebook, whatever, they're redirected to the App Store. And once they're redirected to the App Store, this is the property of Apple or of Google. It's not your website. And then somebody clicks download the app, and this might happen 2 days after. And then it's not enough to download the app. They need to actually click on it, to tap on it, to open it. And then you're asking, okay, I see a new install here. Where did it come from? Is it organic? Is it from channel A? Is it from channel B? Is it from campaign A or from campaign B? This is not a problem that exists on web, because on web people go with their bag on them. Users move along the different websites and you always know all the way back where they came from. This is not the case on mobile because the stores break it. So this was the original premise. And now AppsFlyer is a very big company. We are more than 1,500 employees. We have about 70% in some markets market share of mobile app measurement. So we are market leaders globally. We have offices in more than 20 countries and we're a global company. Today, this is obvious, but it wasn't obvious at all for many years. And it's still a very hard problem. We're still constantly tuning, improving our algorithms, our machine learning to make sure that we really provide the best, trusted, unbiased measurement and a lot of value on top of it: fraud protection, predictive analytics, creative analytics, many different things that you can do on top of the data that you actually have from the attribution, so that advertisers can look at the entire picture and make the best decisions. Really, we're their growth partners. We're building all the available tools for them to grow.
So AppsFlyer is actually more than measurement when it comes to app installs. You're actually also helping measure return on ad spend, conversions, etc. within the app.
Of course, just the install part is just the foot in the door. This is not enough. Essentially, nobody does user acquisition just to bring installs, right? You need to see LTV, lifetime value. You need to see return on ad spend. You need to calculate how much was your cost of acquisition, and you need to make sure that you're optimizing for that growth, right? Eventually, the very easy formula is lifetime value minus cost of acquisition. This is average revenue per user, and you want that to grow because this is how you make money. So we are getting our customers send us their in-app events, and they send us a lot of their different signals, whether it's from our SDK or from server-to-server integrations. And we are integrated with hundreds and thousands of different partners, be it ad networks or tech partners or the entire ecosystem. Really, we have a huge marketplace, probably one of the largest B2B marketplaces in the world. And the customers are able to track and to monitor and to measure the entire user flow. It's not just the install, it's what the users did later, what did they buy, what did they do. It's their users, it's their first party data. So it's a full-fledged analytics platform that is based on attribution. And for the past few years, we're not mobile anymore, in the sense that we're doing full cross-platform measurement. Connected TV is now very hot. We are doing PC and consoles. We are doing any touch point that you have. We potentially provide you the opportunity to add it to your media mix, to measure, to analyze, to get insights off, and to make the next decision about your next campaign, your next budget.
Fascinating. AppsFlyer has been developing its new solution, Privacy Cloud, which is your suite of products for privacy focused measurement and activation. And you're, of course, the SVP of this business at AppsFlyer. What prompted you to build this? And can you briefly explain what kind of products you already have in the Privacy Cloud, including the recent announcement of the marketplace launch?
Yeah, sure. AppsFlyer always took privacy very seriously. We always took a very, very clear side of being neutral and being trusted and unbiased. And I think these values are really what brought us to the market leadership position. And we treat them religiously. So there are some companies in the world, some of our competitors, some companies that are a mobile measurement partner, but also an ad network, or a mobile measurement partner, or also have applications. We don't do that. And believe me, we had a lot of business opportunities to do many such things. It's very lucrative in terms of the potential revenue, but this is an absolute no-go for us. So we never commingled, even before privacy was a thing. We did it before it was cool, as the young kids say today, but we never commingled data of different advertisers. And just think about it. This is crazy. This is so valuable. We see what happens in every single app in the world almost. So like generating valuable insights and say, hey, gaming app Y, I can tell you a lot about gaming app X and Z, and then you can do something about it in your own game. We would never, didn't ever, and won't ever do that. So privacy was always at the core of the AppsFlyer's products and values. But then 2.5 years ago, the entire industry shifted. Of course, Apple led with ATT, but with the prompts that now the mobile identifiers now need an opt-in consent instead of an opt-out consent, not to mention GDPR in Europe and CCPA in the United States and COPPA. So a lot of regulators started playing this game, but also what is more important is the actual platforms and the operating systems took on themselves the role of the regulator. But this actually changed the ecosystem. And then after Apple introduced iOS 14.5, which brought these changes, Meta came in and made a very, I think, brave and amazing decision. And they said, look, guys, no more user level data. The entire industry, be it mobile or web or what have you, is addicted to a drug that is called user level data. And this drug exists since the dawn of the internet. And everybody built their systems for decades, starting ground up from the user level data. But the paradox is that nobody needs user level data for the value. There's no company that targets Keshav or targets Edik. Nobody. All the targeting online or digital is based on segments and cohorts of people like Keshav, people like Edik. So the output is always groups of people. But it was so easy and accessible to have user level to then build this audience from that people were just doing it. But then Meta came in and everybody else started to join the party and say, look, no user level data access, just segments, cohorts, and groups. And this was kind of the catalyzer for us when we started the Privacy Cloud and the Data Clean Room. We launched it December 21. And this was really the great push because we looked at SKAD network, we looked at the different solutions in the market, and we realized that we can do much better. But people think till today that privacy and utility or privacy and user experience are either or. And we believe, and we prove it every day, that privacy and utility and user experience are an and. You can maximize privacy and optimize user value and user experience. It's not a contradiction. So that's what led us to this vision. Based on that, my organization was created and we really started building the product. And the product suite has the data cleanroom at its core, but data cleanroom is yet another piece of technology. What matters is what do you do with it? So we are building solutions and products that are based on a cleanroom for private measurement. How can you still perform measurement and attribution when you don't have identifiers? When you cannot just simply take IP addresses or email addresses from the world and do matching? How people can share their first party data, which they have consent for, and it's gold, right? They collected it religiously from their users, how they can leverage this data without sending it to a third party. They don't know who they are. How can you pick a startup that claims to do the best predictive algorithm in the world? What they need the startup to show you, even a demo, is like, hey, send us your data. This is how it works. And you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that anymore. But you still want to buy this great predictive tool, but you're not comfortable any longer to just send them a spreadsheet of your data rows over email. So this is where our marketplace and this is where our privacy cloud comes in. We believe that the world is already there, and with the advances of AI and with the advances of the technology goes to a place where if previously you would bring your data to the logic, these days you bring your logic to the data. So the data is key. The data is what's important. This is sacred. It should never move. It should be never copied. And utility still can be derived from it. Because if the logic developers or your partners come into the same safe private environment, let's call it a data clean room because this is what it is, then they can still run the best state of the art AI, machine learning, algorithms, what have you, on different data sets, first party, second party, third party, and give you the value you need, but you are not concerned or not thinking twice because you know that what is yours and is fully protected both in terms of the government regulators and in terms of the platform regulators.
Wow, that is so unique. So, AppsFlyer created its data clean room solution to continue to serve its clients as the mobile measurement partner, but doing it in a way that was compliant with the new privacy landscape, which you explained so wonderfully well. Of course, there are other data clean room providers. None of them offer an MMP solution yet, which you luckily have as an established business. But what are AppsFlyer's other points of difference in the data clean room space?
Yeah, so technologically speaking, all of us are different, but from a kind of, let's say, user perspective, I think it's too geeky and too PhD required person to understand whether this k-anonymity algorithm from this vendor is more private than this differential privacy algorithm from that vendor. So when vendors try to compare on feature parity or head-to-head parity, I try to discourage them from that because privacy tech is algorithms proved by the academia, developed by the smartest people in the world, and they work. All of us are audited constantly by various teams, by various companies, by neutral third parties who are checking us. Like, it works, but the differentiation comes from what do you do with it. So I think what differentiates AppsFlyer from the other vendors in this space is we bring the demand. We already have data and a lot of it because one of our most unique assets is that we have an SDK in the vast majority of the mobile apps in the world. So in-app events, first-party data, CRM data, we already have the data, and that's because we have the trust. You want to work with a vendor in the privacy space that you trust. And we already bring that because all of these advertisers, all of these companies already trust us for years, some of them for decades, with their most of their precious data and all of their identifiers and all of their in-app events and CRM. So if a retailer comes to us, it's a turnkey solution. They don't need to wait while we do business development or sales into their target audience. You can test it, you can demo it, you can do even a trial for free, even like no commercials involved. Let's just see what is my match rate against this or this or this. You click a button and you immediately get to see match rates, identity resolution, how it works, and you can decide whether this channel, this retailer is worthwhile or not worthwhile for you to engage with. And then commercials, and then pricing, and then all of this heavy lift. But this is something that is a huge differentiator. Onboarding to the AppsFlyer's privacy cloud takes days instead of months. And again, I'm welcoming people to test it because it's very low lift on the company side. Very many companies in the industry today, I talk to them a lot, they're all concerned that to install a clean room solution or to use somebody will take a lot of resources from them, that they need engineering, they need BI people, and it's hard to justify it because these people are busy doing something else. In our case, we do all the heavy lifting for them, and it really is a minimum effort in terms of resource investment from the customer side, and they can start seeing value from day one. If they deem the value enough, then let's talk commercials.
Of course, that's all for retailers or for advertisers who are new to you, given that you already have first party data holders, whether it be retailers or advertisers working with you on the MMP side, it will be even quicker because they might presumably already be using your data clean room
Oh,
solution.
of course. This segment is not that big, but it is the sweetest spot. We have a lot of retailers who are working with AppsFlyer for years now as their MMP on the user acquisition side. So now we come to their monetization side and say, hey guys, we already work with you. We have the paperwork. Let's just make our partnership deeper and you use the same product, the same data clean room, the same privacy cloud, both for your user acquisition and targeting, retargeting purposes, and for your monetization and first party data offsite stuff in the same product. So this is definitely something that others don't have, not because they can build it, but because they're not MMPs. They don't have a relationship with these people elsewhere, and we do.
Retail media networks and marketeers, they seem to be one of the biggest users of data clean rooms today because retail data is becoming one of the best substitutes to a post cookie world. How do you see this space as AppsFlyer?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, AppsFlyer, the core business is, as we discussed, you and I today, it's measurement and attribution. So, the first product we had and still have, and it's being used by many of our customers, is a data clean room for measurement purposes, where many of the ad networks restricted access to their data to the advertisers, but we still have it. And for us to have it, we need to ensure that we meet their contracts and meet their privacy standards, right? So the first use case we solved for was actually measurement and attribution. And then we expanded to the activation use case, and specifically in the retail media domain, because activation is existing in mobile as well. You activate audiences on Facebook, right? You activate audiences on Uber. You activate audiences everywhere. So activation on retail is just one use case. And yes, we are now focusing on it, just like others, because as you said, the retailers are now very popular channel. So it's our customers want it. So this is how we evolved, opposite some of our competitors who naturally started where, okay, here's a retailer, here's a brand, both of them put data, we join it, and then we can activate.
Related question. One of the big problems for a brand is when they get back results, they get back aggregated results from Meta, they get back aggregated results from the open internet. But because you have that trust and you can get back disaggregated data, from a brand perspective, when they use your data clean room, can you provide deduped attribution across two channels?
This is what AppsFlyer is doing since 2010. Let alone privacy for a second. You run a campaign on a plethora of different channels, and then you need to comprehend all of that and to have one place, even to dump it down, one dashboard where you see your entire marketing performance and see all the channels and compare and make decisions. This is what this company is solving very successfully to the entire market for more than a decade now. So, what you just described, this need did not appear because of privacy. With privacy, it became harder to do, but it's still the same need. Having multiple clean rooms is breaking it. This is why I'm advocating for clean room interoperability through my work at the IAB, through my work everywhere. I believe that if we as clean room providers will not find ways to interoperate and collaborate, we will all lose instead of opening this market. Because today, every clean room by nature creates a walled garden ecosystem. If a brand has clean room A, the retailer has to have the same clean room. And this goes back to the problem I described in 2010 when Oren and Reshev created AppsFlyer. If you wanted to advertise, you had to install 15 different SDKs. Somebody had to create one, and suddenly it became easier. We are getting to that same position with the clean rooms in 2024 or 2025, where if a retailer who has enough data gravity, like the huge ones, the Amazons, the Walmarts of the world, they can dictate technology. They choose a vendor for whatever reason, and then they say, whoever wants to work with me must work through this vendor. This is more and more walled gardens. And we believe in open ecosystem. We really do. Our marketplace, everything we do is opposing the walled gardens. But until it's not there, you at least need to have your entire funnel closed in the same clean room. So in the AppsFlyer Privacy Cloud, you really close the loop. You build an audience based on your data or the third-party data or together. You activate it, then you measure it, then you enrich it with other data points. You combine it with all of your other channels. Google, Facebook, web, CTV, Roku, what have you, it doesn't matter. You look at the entire picture, you make decisions, rinse, repeat. So I think that having different clean rooms for different use cases is contradicting the entire point of having a clean room, which gives you your entire marketing picture in one place and in a single source of truth.
And it's prohibitively expensive, right? Because if a brand has four clean rooms, they're paying licenses for four clean rooms as well. Do you think the industry is headed that way from your early conversations about interoperability?
I really hope, as part of the IAB Tech Lab, we released, I think February or March, we released the first clean room standards page. It was written collaboratively by pretty much every clean room company out there, right? We also released the OPGA, which is an attempt to have an open protocol for joining audiences. So this is activation. Now I can say that we are working, led by me, by representing AppsFlyer, but we're working on something similar on the measurement side. So this is one effort. Another effort is really between the companies themselves to see whether interoperability of two different clean rooms can generate revenue, right? So I really believe that there is a business model where both of the companies generate actually more. And thanks to the cloud platforms, they are also a very, very important player in promoting an open ecosystem.
Hmm. Fair. And interoperability among cloud, is that something you can do today?
So, yes, we are, and this is also one of our differentiators from some others, we are cloud agnostic. I'm not saying I work only if both sides are on Amazon or both sides are on Snowflake. I don't care. We're a standalone clean room. We don't copy your data, we don't move it, and we're not relying on you having a certain infrastructure. So a brand can be on Google Cloud and the retailer can be on Snowflake. And for us, it's the same. And from a user experience perspective, for you, it looks like you're querying one table, and we even added ChatGPT on that now. So you write in English, it translates it to SQL. SQL runs. You think that it's one table, but really it's not just one table. It's different clouds.
Lovely. Making it really easy for non-technical marketing folks to play with data. Two quick questions to end, Eric. Part one, some common challenges you're encountering when you speak to potential clients trying to sign them up to your clean room solution. And part two, looking ahead, what can we expect from AppsFlyer, especially in the privacy cloud space?
Yeah. So for the first part, the entire industry of the privacy tech and the data collaboration stuff is it's still in the education slash early adapters phase, right? So if we are looking at the famous crossing the chasm paradigm, we still did not cross the chasm as an industry, not just as AppsFlyer. Nobody. Some people might still think that privacy is not something that is here to stay. Some people are trying to push their luck and to play till the very last day with user level data and with exposing PII until it will be the really last moment.
Mm.
So there's many such cases where we are jointly as an industry are interested. And thank you for your great podcast. I think it also a very heavy help in that. The more content we have, the more education we have, let alone business. I'm saying people need to understand that the world changed, not is changing, not will change, it already changed. Some verticals like mobile already felt it hard. Some channels like the web are already bracing themselves, and some channels might still be maybe removed, but they will come after them as well. So the early adopters enjoy the benefits of their friends in mobile and web, and they will be ready and they will benefit, and they can come to brands and say, look, we are privacy safe, trust us. And trust is key. And this is the challenge for me and for my friends in the different other vendors, is the market education. It's crossing the chasm. It's for retailers and for commerce companies and for all of these guys to understand that it's not okay anymore to just share user level data in the open. And To your second question, I think our marketplace that we just introduced and what we build on the activation and the retailer side is really a full closed funnel. And this is something that I can say that we already have everything ironed out. This is our roadmap, but this is a unique value proposition where whether you're an ad network, a retailer who considers to become an ad network, or a brand that runs advertising, in all three cases, you don't look at things as activation or as measurement. You look at my marketing work, my performance, what is my ROAS, what is my LTV. This is how they operate. And we as product managers, we as builders, we need to talk their language. So what I want to do is I'm not doing a clean room. A clean room is a means to an end. It's a technology. I'm solving for them the opportunity to run their marketing, to make the smartest decisions and best decisions in the paradigm of maximizing utility, value, and user experience, and maximizing user privacy and data privacy. And this is our vision, this is our roadmap, and we constantly deliver more and more and more capabilities, features to address new personas, new TAMs. Now it's retailer, tomorrow it can be something else. We're constantly reacting to the demand. We will go where the marketing dollars go. It's as simple as that. This is where they need their trusted growth partner that AppsFlyer is being for them for the past decade.
Yeah. Edik, thank you so much for joining on this podcast. AppsFlyer is such a innovative company. It's been an eye-opener.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was absolutely my pleasure. I think having podcasts and content like you're doing is immensely important to the industry because education is key here. So thank you for taking this up on yourself. And I'm looking forward to listen to all the next episodes.